You don't need more time. You need fewer distractions, better boundaries, and a smarter system. I used to be overwhelmed 24/7, always behind, always rushing, always wondering how other people seemed to do it all while I could barely keep up. It took me years to figure this out. I tested every time management system that you can imagine. I iterated and refined and built my own version of what actually works, especially when you're juggling work and home and kids and a million moving parts. But here's the good news. You don't have to take years. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to give you all 5 of my most powerful time-saving strategies. They helped me to reclaim more than 20 hours a week without waking up at 4 a.m., without working late into the night, and without burning out. And I'll be honest, tip number 4 is probably the one that changed my life the most. But let's start with the one that had an instant impact on my day-to-day. Let me guess, your day is a chaotic mix of emails, phone calls, errands, writing, meetings, planning, and somehow, just when you hit your stride on one thing, you have to switch gears. That's the problem right there. You're not actually losing time, you're leaking it. Every time you switch from one type of task to another, your brain has to reset, and that reset isn't instant. In fact, studies show it can take up to 23 minutes to fully refocus after a context switch. Now, imagine how many times that is happening in a typical day. That's why the first strategy that saved me is something that I now swear by: batching. Batching means grouping similar tasks together and doing them in one focused block of time. Writing tasks in one chunk, admin tasks in another, filming all at once. Here's what that looks like for me. I don't film one YouTube video at a time. I film 4 in one session. I don't write a little here and a little there. I sit down for a deep work block and get it all done. Even errands, I do them back to back with a list and a plan instead of multiple runs. When I was working full-time, building my business on the side, and raising 2 kids, I didn't have a choice. This strategy, it was really the only way that I could stay productive without feeling like I was constantly behind. And once I stopped switching modes every 20 minutes, my stress went down and my output doubled. And here's a bonus tip. If you pair batching with the next strategy that I'm about to share, your calendar will basically manage itself. Let's talk about the one habit that protects my energy and my focus every single day. Okay, so now you're batching, but if you don't protect that focused time, the world will absolutely try to steal it. You know what I mean. The pings, the emails with just a quick question, the calendar that somehow fills up with meetings and appointments that you didn't even agree to. This is where most people lose their time, not because they're lazy, but because they're too available. Here's what changed that for me. Time blocking with built-in white space. So let me explain. Time blocking is when you schedule your most important work in advance before anyone else can claim that time. It's like setting an appointment with your future self and honoring it. But I don't just block every second of my day back to back. That's a recipe for burnout. Instead, I leave 15 to 30 minutes of white space between blocks. That's buffer time for thinking, decompressing, getting up to stretch, or dealing with the inevitable stuff that comes up. So here's how this looks in real life. I block 90 minutes for deep work in the morning. That's usually writing or planning. Then I give myself 20 minutes of nothing. It's not wasted time, it's recovery. I do the same between meetings or client calls, so I'm not dragging one conversation into the next. And it works. Research from the University of California, Irvine found that constant context switching can lead to higher stress and lower productivity. But when people planned ahead and protected focused time, their performance improved significantly. When I was still practicing medicine, my days were packed minute to minute. There was zero breathing room. Now I build in that white space on purpose, and it's made me a better creator, a better business owner, and honestly, a nicer human. Now, speaking of boundaries, if your phone is constantly lighting up with notifications or you feel that pull to just check your inbox, secret number 3 is going to hit hard. So let's talk about digital boundaries that actually stick. Now, let's be real. Most of us aren't distracted because we have too much to do. We are distracted because we're always connected. You sit down to focus and your phone lights up. You get a DM, a Slack ping, an email, a group text, a calendar reminder, and suddenly you're on your third app with no idea why you even picked up your phone in the first place. We don't lose hours to distraction. We give them away in tiny, invisible chunks. That's why secret number 3 is the digital boundary reset. This isn't about deleting all your apps and going off the grid. It's about designing your digital world to support your focus, not sabotage it. Here's what I did that changed everything. I turned off all non-essential notifications. No buzzes, banners, or pop-ups unless it's truly urgent. I check my email twice a day, maximum. Once mid-morning, once late afternoon. That's it. And I keep my phone on Do Not Disturb when I'm working, and I log out of social media after hours. Yes, log out. You don't realize how much energy those micro interruptions cost you until you remove them. So here's the data. The average person gets 80 to 120 notifications a day. That's 80 to 120 little jolts of distraction. It's no wonder we're exhausted before noon. And the truth is, you teach people how to treat your time. If you are always instantly available, they'll expect that. But when you start setting digital boundaries, they adjust. I had to learn this the hard way. There was a period where I was checking my phone constantly, even during dinner and even while brushing my teeth. I felt busy all the time, but I wasn't getting anything meaningful done. Now I feel calmer, I'm more present, and the best part, I get more done in less time because my brain isn't constantly resetting from distraction. And if you're wondering, but what about all the things that I'll miss? Then you're gonna love secret number 4. It's the mindset shift that helped me to stop saying yes to everything and finally take control of my calendar. Let me ask you something. How many things are on your calendar right now that you didn't really want to say yes to? The meeting that you didn't need to attend, the favor that you didn't have time for, the social thing that is more draining than fun. Here's the problem. Most of us are running our lives on a setting I call default yes. We say yes automatically out of habit, guilt, or people-pleasing, FOMO, or just because it feels kind of awkward to say no. But here's what no one tells you. Every yes is a no to something else. Usually it's a no to rest, to focus, to creative time, or to something that you actually want to be doing. That's why secret number 4 is what I call the default yes detox. I stopped saying yes to everything and started making, let me think about it, my default response. That one sentence changed everything for me. It bought me time. It gave me space, and it let me make decisions that were actually aligned with my priorities. So here's how I do it. If it's not a hell yes, it's a no, or at least a not right now. I use a stop doing list, which sounds funny, but it's one of the most effective time tools that I have ever created. I do a quick gut check before I say yes to anything new. Does this align with the season that I'm in, or is it just adding more noise? I once said yes to volunteering for a project that sounded meaningful, but the moment that I agreed, I felt that sinking feeling. You know the one. I ended up spending 12 hours on something that I didn't enjoy, resenting every second of it. Never again. Saying no isn't selfish, it's strategic. It's how you create space for what matters the most. And speaking of strategy, secret number 5 is my actual weekly ritual. It's the system that holds all of these habits together and keeps me sane and productive and on track, even when life gets chaotic. So let's go there next. Let's say that you have batch tasked your work. You have blocked off time with white space. You've set digital boundaries. You've stopped saying yes to things that drain you. But if you don't have a system to hold all of that together, guess what happens? Life starts to leak back in. You forget something important. You get reactive instead of intentional. You spend your week putting out fires instead of making real progress. That's why secret number 5 is the habit that ties everything together, a weekly planning ritual with the 3D filter. This is a non-negotiable in my life. Every Sunday, I take 30 minutes to plan out my week, and it makes a huge difference in how the entire week feels. I light a candle, make a cup of tea, open up my planner, and I walk through my upcoming schedule. But here's the key. I don't just plan what I'm going to do. I use my 3D filter. Delete, delegate, do later. So here's how it works. Delete. Is there anything that I agreed to that I can cancel or let go of? Sometimes the most productive thing is deciding not to do something. Delegate. Is there anything that I can hand off to a team member, a family member, or even to a tool or a system? Do later. Is it important but not urgent? I'll move it to a future week so that it doesn't clutter up this one. This filter helps me to avoid overload before the week even starts. It's not about rigid planning, it's about proactive clarity. Research backs this up too. People who write down their goals and create a plan of action are significantly more likely to achieve them, up to 76% more likely, in fact. And in my experience, they also sleep better and feel less frazzled. When I started doing this, everything changed. I stopped waking up wondering what to do. I started my Mondays calm and focused instead of scattered and stressed. And the best part, it only takes half an hour a week. Now, before we wrap up, there is one more trick that I want to leave you with. It's not exactly a hack or a habit, but it might be the most important tip of all. First, I want to make something really clear. Real multitasking doesn't work. Trying to write an email while listening to a podcast and replying to texts, you'll do all three badly. But there is a kind of multitasking that works, and I use it all the time. I call it strategic multitasking. It's about pairing one task that needs your brain with another that doesn't. For example, I go for a run while listening to a podcast or an audiobook. I fold laundry or sweep my front hallway while catching up with a friend on the phone. I'll do light stretching or tidy my space while brainstorming content ideas. None of this requires you to split your focus. It's about alignment, not overload. And when you combine this with everything that we've talked about, batching, time blocking, boundaries, weekly planning, it's not just about saving time, it's about taking your time back. So let's recap. Batch your tasks so you stop leaking energy between modes. Time block with white space to protect your focus and avoid burnout. Reset your digital boundaries so your phone doesn't run your life. Detox your default yes, so you're only saying yes to what really matters. Plan your week using the 3D filter. Delete, delegate, do later. And strategically multitask when it makes sense to get even more from your day. You don't need to do more. You need to do what matters with less stress, less chaos, and way more clarity. And to make that easier for you, I have created 2 tools. First, my ultimate time-saving blueprint. It is totally free and it walks you through the exact system that I use to save hours every week. You can grab that below. And if you're ready to go a step further, I also created a beautiful, affordable, printable planner called the Well-Planned Method. It's designed for real life with space for batching and time blocking and brain dumps and more. If you want a physical system to help to bring this all to life, you'll love it. The links for both are below. Now, if this video helped you, give it a like, hit subscribe, and tell me in the comments which strategy are you going to try first? I would love to hear. And if you enjoyed this video, then I think that you are going to love the one that I've got coming up next for you, which you will see on the next screen, and I will see you there. Errands, writing, meetings, la la la. That's why the first strategy. Why do I have trouble with the word strategy? Okay, strategy. So let's talk about digital boundaries that actually stick. But first, T.